Christine McDaniel here with the Health and Happiness Hacks Wellness Show. So excited today because we have the one, the only Sahsha Campbell. Last name again is?
Garbutt.
Oh, Garbutt. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So we would love to learn more about, she's published a book, so we're definitely going to touch base with that and talk about that. But first, tell the audience about what you're out doing, how you're helping people.
Yes, so thank you for having me. I love this place. I love the services that you offer. And I am a patron, a client of yours. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thanks.
It is important to have wellness to be more than a treat, but to be more commonplace. So my name is Sahsha Campbell-Garbutt. I'm the founder of Life and Light Wellness. And that came about a couple of ways. First of all, I've always been a writer. I love to write ever since like elementary school. Anytime they had a poetry contest, that was me. Any kind of writing thing to enter, that was me. But over the years, you kind of lose your way and kind of get more mainstream and, do things like more corporately. And even though I did spend some time like modeling and acting, but I went back to doing corporate work. But that passion for writing was always there. And I've always been a very active kid. I was the kid that came home with bumps and bruises. I was the kid to come home like getting my shoelaces tied up in the spokes of the bikes because I was always trying to ride a bike bigger than me, but never liked tying my shoelaces. So it was a mix of loving to write and loving to stay active. Fast forward, I moved back to California because I lived in Georgia for about 8.5 years. And I went back to school and I said, well, I'm going to study to be a personal trainer because after I had my daughter, I packed on a lot of weight. And I wasn't used to being that size, and I didn't get used to it. And not only was it more about aesthetics, it was about how I felt, how my body was responding to the weight, how my joints started to hurt a little bit more, and my back hurt a little more, even though my daughter was 5 or 6 months. So like, okay, Sahsha, you have to put some work in. It's time to do some work. So I started off, working myself out, running and stretching. And then before you know it, I dropped like 40, 45 pounds. So I wanted to take the knowledge that I applied to myself and my passion for fitness into a business. And so I went to school and started training people. And this is where it gets fun because you get people that want to lose weight. That's the main thing.
Definitely.
I want to look good.
Yeah.
I want to lose weight. And especially around New Year's. You guys know how it is around New Year's, around this time of the year. Everybody wants to lose weight, which is great. So I'd interview them and we have set up a regimen for them. But they would start off really strong. In the beginning you start off strong, and then they would fall off and then start up again and fall off. And naturally your trainer can't babysit you, especially if you're only seeing your trainer maybe 3 days a week. All you can do is give them the information to hope that they stick to the plan that's going to get them where they want to go towards their weight loss goals. But it didn't always happen. So I meditate often, and one morning I was meditating and just getting ready for my day, and I heard a voice, we'll say, and it said, write the well. And I'm like, the well? Oh, what's the well? Because my thought was I was going to write a book of daily affirmations because I love affirmations and I write them. So in my mind, I was like, I'm going to publish a book of affirmations. Well, I heard this well stuff. And so it hit me that if I could implement what I really did to keep the weight off, which was going back into why do I want to eat the foods that I want to eat? I'm not pregnant anymore. I don't have to eat for 2. So why am I being comforted by eating for 2?
Yeah.
And I started to realize that it's so emotional. And our emotions are run by our subconscious behaviors and our subconscious beliefs. So I was like, if I could write a book that gets to the root of our subconscious strongholds and what's holding us back, that could in turn guide our emotions in a different way. And then we'll be naturally attracted to the foods that we want to eat because once we're coming from a whole place, you naturally want to eat whole foods. You want to eat life-giving foods. So that was the premise behind The Well.
No, and I love the cover, the image, and just everything it portrays.
Yes.
And I love the term you just used a minute ago about the stronghold that it has, that certain beliefs and in the subconscious that people have that's kind of running in the background.
And we don't realize how much it does drive our life. Yeah. I liken our subconscious to our navigation system. Our car is just a vessel. It goes wherever we tell it to go. If you tell it not to go anywhere, it won't. If you tell it to do this, in the instance of our body, if we tell it to do this diet, it will do it. But it's only going to go as far as the navigation is. So where's our navigation taking us? And more importantly, what's driving our navigational system?
I know, right?
And that's what it is. And then when I start to talk to people, and I start to revisit those clients again, and I would say, look, we need to let's just do some emotional coaching first. And at first they were like, whoa. But when we would do that, you would start to see that they were eating based on family traditions. Even though when they look back on their family, mom sick or died from an illness related to food. Dad died from the same thing, grandma, great-grandma. And then you realize the same environmental and emotional triggers that were kind of guiding them. You know, whatever their environment was, it was tough or it was poverty or was not feeling adequate enough or was being abandoned by a loved one, they relied on food to comfort them during those times. So I would tell the people, let's get to the root of that. What do you believe about why you're wanting to eat? Why do you love sugar so much? Why do you love chips so much? Those are kind of the big things, caffeine. And then we start to, oh, that's why I like it. Well, that's why I feel like I always eat this. Because naturally, when we start something, we get really, really excited. Just like when I tell people, if you go to church on Sunday or if you just come back from a motivational seminar, you're super stoked, you're super excited, you feel so good. And then by Monday, you're back down in the dumps again because it just stayed on the surface.
Oh, yeah.
And dieting kind of stays on the surface too. That first year you get all your, your major brand diet food and you do that and you're good once you eat that food, but once you stop eating that food or stop doing this routine, everything comes back. Because another thing about mainstream diets is it doesn't teach you how to maintain it. It's not realistic to say just eat this food and you'll be okay because you're not going to always have that food to eat. So if we could come trained with a renewed subconscious and we naturally are not bombarded by all those negative thoughts and negative actions that we usually have, you'll know intrinsically what to eat based on how you feel and where you want to go in your future.
Did you do this work when you were living in Atlanta?
I started doing this work.
Because all that Southern food, it's my favorite.
Yeah, and especially
That's so
having
hard.
made my husband loves Southern food, and he made amazing food. And I'm plant-based now, but then I ate
That was
fried
my next
chicken.
question.
Yeah,
So you have a strictly plant-based diet?
I do for the most part. And I say, people say, well, why do you say plant-based? And I think, when you get to vegetarianism and veganism, there's so much different degrees. There's some that don't wear leather at all. There's some that won't eat certain things because there's like honey, some won't eat honey. And I'm not that strict.
Okay. So plant-based diet meaning the majority of your
vast-
diet, the vast majority.
The vast majority
But
of
you'll
my diet.
still maybe have dairy, you still maybe have...
It'll be like if I have a dessert, because I love dessert,
Yeah.
and if it's made with an egg, I don't make a big deal about it, so that type of thing. And I just know that some things, I'm on the road a lot, and there's some things that might have some trace of animal stuff, so I'm not going to drive myself crazy about it.
Okay.
But to each
I like
be their
that.
own.
Yeah.
And in the book, I talk about, even though I'm plant-based, my job isn't to convince you to be vegan or vegetarian. My job is to help you be wise about the food choices that you're making. See, we all were born to fulfill a certain task. But we're so busy trying to jump in everybody else's lane that we don't even really know ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'm really
Yeah,
big
it's
on
true.
finding and maintaining your lane. What works for you might not work for me in the moment and vice versa, but I respect you and honor you enough to support you in your happy place, whether it's my happy place or not. So much of us are trying to live other people's lives. And that's why, going back to the subconscious programming, we're living the life that the society thinks we should live. Oh my God, you're 30 and you're not married and you don't have kids.
Yeah.
And we don't realize that bothers us, but it does because naturally we want to be loved. We want to be accepted, but that comes from an internal heart space. So everything is tied into that. And here's this too, Christine. So I tell people, skinny people, oh, you look great, but you have weight to lose too. And they're like, what? And I say, yeah, it's called emotional weight. Because you might not be carrying it on your body, but if there's any blocks in your life, you might be blocked in your career or blocked in your love life, or you've just been trying to reach a certain plateau and you can't get there. There's an emotional weight that needs to be cleared so you can have the energetic space to receive that which you're wanting to receive.
That is really cool. And how long have you been in this line of work?
Actually just my 2 full years of I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to dedicate my life to helping people get well intrinsically. It's your God-given, your birthright to live an abundant life. It's not for some. We grow up, we see people like, wow, that's cool. And then you hear in the background, oh, they must have had a silver spoon in their mouth growing up, or, oh, they come from money. But the reality is that we could all come from a space of abundance if we just start to believe that we can. So even those beliefs have to be turned on in order for us to live that life.
Yeah.
So I've been starting it then, but it's funny, I was going through the process of healing myself this way, asking myself these questions. I have written exercises outlined in the book. And I was asking myself these questions years ago, and then I just realized, wow, that was the groundwork for my business anyways. asking yourself, who told you to feel this way? Where did that thought process come from? What triggers it? It's simple questions.
Yeah.
It's a simple layout, but we have to be willing to do the work on ourselves,
No, for sure. And that was my next question. What do you do for self-care yourself?
So, recently I heard about self-care being, we get it kind of confused with pampering. Self-care is something that we should do on a daily basis. So it's great. I love getting my nails and feet done. I love getting my infrared saunas. I love getting colonics and facials. But self-care is really what it is, caring for self. And we should care for ourselves every day, whether we're getting pampered or not. Like I said earlier, I start my day off with meditation. That's a great way to center myself, to feel myself. So many of us don't even feel ourselves. And that's what I say, fitness begins from within, because fitness just translates as to health.
Yeah.
How can I maintain my health? How can I do that? Being quiet, being still. So I start my day off with meditation every day. And yes, I am still tempted to grab my cell phone at first thing in the morning. But I know that how we start our day leads to how our day kind of transpires.
How many minutes do you do in the morning?
It's funny, I used to be like, I need to do an hour, and I used to stress
A
myself
full
out.
hour? Oh.
No, I don't do a full hour.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes.
Nice.
And sometimes in my meditation, I recite like mantras and affirmations. So sometimes I do just breathing and focusing on my breathing, but sometimes I recite mantras too, to get me centered in where I want to be or what I want to manifest.
Do you do guided meditation? Do you just play music in the background? Do you mix it up?
I mix it up.
Okay.
I mix it up. I'm very much a varied type of person, even with my exercise. Like I'll like to do free weights, and then I go through this stage of I'm just doing body weights, and then I'm like, I want to go run outside, then I want to go hike, and then I want to swim. So I'm kind of that person.
That.
And that's why I tell people, find and maintain your lane. Sometimes we get so static, like, well, I have to do it like this, and since I started like this and we did that, no.
And they're not even happy doing it. So that's what's important to me. It's like,
it's happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness is what keeps us alive, really.
Oh, for sure.
We've all heard the story of the person with tremendous amount of physical wealth, money, and riches, but they're so miserable inside because they're really doing what they've been told they should do as opposed to what they were born to do. What makes them feel good, that happy place. And money, I know it's cliche, but money will never buy happiness.
No.
It helps, but it will never
No, and the
buy
people,
happiness.
the richest people in the world say that, like, without a doubt,
So I figure people like myself and yourself, we're rich in knowledge, we're rich in friendships and peace and having a vision for the world, and part of the reason I do what I do, and I will not train anyone physically anymore unless we've had a couple of emotional consultations, because that really helps jumpstart you. I don't want to see regular clients unless it was like you just want to come and feel good. But I want you to feel good naturally.
Yes.
If you miss me, come on and see me.
Yeah.
But my goal ultimately is to have a client for like a year and a half, help get them really set into the routine that they decided they want. I'm just here to guide them towards themselves.
How often do you meet with them? Is it once a week? Is it?
Most times it's once a week. Some people do twice a week. I even have packages that people do like 4-week intensive emotional sessions. We do call them guidance sessions. We'll do that, and then they'll get started with their physical training. Nice. So it varies, but depending on your level of blockage, let's say, we could do from 1 to 2 sessions to 5 to 6 sessions. And I also do group guidance sessions as well.
Nice. And I'm going back to the self-care versus pampering.
Yes.
I agree. I'm so glad you touched on that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of our viewers, it's the same thing where they think self-care is like getting a facial or pampering. Like, I wouldn't think that of self-care. It could be journaling, it could be meditation, It could be going for a run, it could be spending time with friends, just doing something for yourself.
We can't ignore that. Once again, we get up, we roll out of bed, we make our coffee, we kiss the kids, like barely kiss them, graze them on their forehead, or pet the dog, and just like
just
run out the door.
door.
And then you're in traffic, you're driving with your knee, you're trying to check your message, you're glancing. It's like, who are you? What do you feel in this moment? And that has to be honored, and we just don't take the time to do that. So meditation is big for me. Also, eating well. That's not a pampering. I do my best. I'm not sure what 100% clean means, but once again, I maintain my lane. I start off my day mostly with smoothies.
Nice.
So I start off with like a plant-based, a vegan protein shake.
Yep.
Protein powder add to it. Always add a bunch of greens to it. Add a couple walnuts because they're really good for your brain. It's good to get focused. Then I'll add some mixed fruit. But it's good to balance out the protein with all the carbs and the sugar. You don't want to just do a total fruit
No,
because you're like up and then you guys come down.
Yeah, and
you
the
know?
Jamba Juice, back, maybe that was at like 10 years ago, everybody thought they're being super healthy. And the sugar, the amount of sugar in those smoothies, because it was all, it's all fruit.
And then some of it, they add lemonade, much respect to Jamba Juice, because they were kind of a pioneer in their time. Like, we didn't know where to go. Jamba Juice was bought NutriBullets and Vitamixes, was like, Jamba Juice, I'm healthy. You go in there, some of them have 50 grams of sugar.
Oh, no.
That's 2 days worth of sugar in one beverage.
I know.
But we also know some other fancy, very popular name brand coffee spots that have a lot of sugar in their beverages too. And that's what people don't understand. It calorically, it might say 150 calories. So that's great. But if it has 30, 40 grams of sugar, you're not getting anything out of it. And it's just little things like that I try to inform people. I'm not a nutritionist, but I let them know that please seek out a nutritionist. However, this is the stuff that I suggest, or this is what I do for myself. People just don't know. If you don't know, you don't know.
No, it's true.
And that's what I'm here to help people do, to find themselves and realize a part of themselves that they never even knew. It's like, I could feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be hard. It does not have to be hard feeling good, you guys.
And a great for sugar, for people battling, and I know sugar, I'm guilty of it too. I love sugar, but I definitely have to cut it completely as low as I can, possibly, but I still love it. And Fed Up is a great documentary. I don't know if you've seen it. Okay.
Fed Up.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's great. If you watch that, you're going to cut the sugar out.
I don't know about you, but after I was done watching it, I was like part sad and part mad. Like, I didn't, sugar is everywhere.
Oh, we ate those sugary cereals as kids. We ate like the worst
peanut butter and jelly with like the plain white bread and the peanut butter with a whole bunch of sugar, and the jam is like full of sugar. But our parents only did what they thought.
No, exactly. They didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know.
And they thought low fat was all good, and now we're seeing that fat is important. It's just
for brain health.
It's for your brain.
No, and I'm always, I try to stress that too, where it's like, well, back in the 90s, it's like people were just in fogs because their brain wasn't even functioning because it was like the no fat diets.
But we need that, the healthy fats, the avocado,
the healthy ones,
the coconut, the walnuts, we need that. But now there's some studies saying people that are having like early stage dementia, they start eating those oils, they're starting to see some healing in them. So that is super positive.
Oh, good.
So, but I'm just here like you to inform people of another way. And like in my book, I break it down into 3 sections. The first section, I have to be candid. I cannot talk about something if I'm not my own experiment. Mm-hmm. So I talk about my own sugar addiction. It was pretty bad. It was pretty hardcore, my sugar addiction. But it's not a legal drug or it's not alcohol. So no one looks at it as bad, and no one says, hey, Sahsha, you need to slow down. You're eating a lot of sugar, because it's legal and it's accepted. Yeah. So I talk
and it's in everything. And
it's in
dressing,
everything.
sauces, everything.
Things you would not imagine, and natural foods do have some natural sugars in there. So if you're combining that with the added sugar, it's just, it's overkill. So I talk about that and what I did to get to the root of my sugar addiction and how I found its subconscious place. And I was just able to transmute that and turn it into a space of where I do self-care, because I was eating a lot of sugar because I didn't feel supported. I didn't feel adequate enough in each stage of my life. I was always going ahead and not being present. And so I'm like, I need to feel going into, hey, just chill out. Enjoy the moment. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be guilty for the past. Don't be guilty. I don't want to give it away too much, but don't be guilty for all this stuff. Just understand that this is your lane. That was your lesson. Now move forward. You have places to go. People to see, So in part 2 of the book, actually, I got to add some affirmations, because remember I told you I wanted to write that.
You were saying
so I got to add some in that
good.
part. And then I have the written exercises so we can go through your garden. So I talk about it. I'm liking doing the internal work, like rebuilding a building. They have to excavate it and tear it down, have a blueprint, and then do the grand opening. So I liken the internal work we have to do to redoing a building. We all watch those shows, that they flipping houses and they're doing all this stuff. We have to do that with ourselves too. See the beauty in the basic canvas of ourselves. And repaint the picture. We could redesign our life whenever we want to.
Yeah. And then the third part?
The third part is where I finally get to the nutrition suggestions, exercise, meditation, and detox suggestions.
Cool.
So people want to do that first.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's just go detox. And then
they want to hit the easy button.
They want to hit the button. No, you have to go through the dark spots. But the best things are made in the dark. Diamonds are cultivated in the dark. Babies are grown in the dark. The best ideas come like in the middle of the night and you're sleeping. You wake up like, oh my God, I just had a great idea. So I'm trying to tell people, don't be afraid of the dark.
No, that's great. And then, so speaking of books, other than your own, of course, what's your favorite book?
I love Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Okay, it's a classic.
Classic. I'm classic. You know, I love the Celestine Prophecy.
Oh.
I love As a Man Thinketh. I'm all about kind of like, before I even knew it, I was into like,
is that the Viktor Frankl book?
No. Oh my gosh. Why is the author? It's a book like this thin.
Okay.
And they have it As a Woman Thinketh as well. It was written like in the 20s or 30s.
No, yeah, you're right.
And I'm drawing a blank. You must
Okay.
get it.
Okay.
Can you believe I'm telling you to get a book before my own? But you must get As a Man or As a Woman Thinketh. I love books that give life.
Love it.
I love books that can, by the time you're done reading it, you're like, yes, I can do this. And that's kind of what I feel about my book. It gives you, by the end of it, it's not just, these are all your problems. Here's a solution.
Yeah.
And we need to be solution-based in everything that we do.
Oh, for sure. So then what's your number one health or happiness hack for our audience that they can literally just implement?
I would like to say, and I know this is going to sound weird, but drink a lot of water, because water is life. It's cliche, but we are 80% water. If we're not drinking enough of it, we're not going to get connected to our life source. Drink more water.
And what's your rule of thumb on that? Because I've heard so many different things. Is it half your weight in ounces? Is it?
You know, I like to be pretty realistic. I would love to say drink a gallon a day. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I have friends doing that, but they're big guys. They're like 6'4", and they'll pound. That's like that's what they want to do every day for whatever reason. But they can do. If I try to do that,
I'd be on the potty every hour. Like it would be no.
I just think it's excessive, probably.
Yeah. And we have to realize that too, because even drinking too much water could dehydrate you because you're urinating a lot. But I definitely do think that 8 ounces of 64 ounces. What they say to drink 8 ounces.
8 times a day, 64 ounces.
I don't think that's enough either. Okay. So it's good to always have those bottled waters. I always say get those jugs that are like 20 ounces of water and drink at least 4 of those a day.
Oh, good. Okay.
I like to say that too. When we're trying to get people to shift into a whole new paradigm, you can't go hardcore on them. You can't say, look, you need to drink a gallon of water when they're barely drinking 1 cup. I'm a firm believer in baby steps. Baby steps are better than no steps at all.
I love that.
Where I am now, I love water. I can drink almost a gallon a day, but I didn't get there overnight.
Okay.
You know, I didn't get there overnight. So we have to be patient with ourselves. We want to change, but it took us 20, 30, 40, 50 years to get there. So give yourself some time.
No, I love that.
You know?
And then maybe just you guys can put a timer on your phone, maybe every couple of hours.
That's
just a little notification will pop up, your alarm on your cell phone can go off. Drink water, drink water, drink water.
We use our alarm for everything else. Record this show.
Yeah.
Make hair appointment, which is all great and fine. But what about self? We're going for multiple degrees and we're seeking our better self from the outside. But if we don't have our temple to take us there, what are we striving for? What are we striving for? So that's the main health hack I would tell people, but also understand that you are here on purpose. On purpose. Now, I did that on purpose. No, you are actually here on purpose. I truly believe the universe makes no mistakes. So the thing is, find your purpose. Look at yourself every day and say, I am on purpose. Little affirmations. I believe in the power of words. I believe they carry a certain frequency and vibration.
For sure.
That
positive or negative.
Positive or negative, your choice. So think about this. You wake up in the morning. Oh, I'm tired. That just doesn't feel good, even to the one saying it. Or, today's going to be an awesome day. With no expectation, but you're just declaring that it's going to be a cool day. If we all took that power within ourselves to get well and to dictate our day, this world would be a totally different place. And I truly believe it can be.
Oh, I love that, Sasha.
Yes.
You're so insightful. What's great
you.
is this is the first time we met in person. So it's like a genuine, I'm asking these questions because I genuinely want to know, your thoughts on these topics.
And I'm a student of life. I'm always learning. I tell people I'm no guru, I'm no master. I'm just trying to get to my best self and help people get to their best self too. But you have to lead by example.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm excited.
That concludes today's episode of our Health and Happiness Hacks Wellness Show. Definitely subscribe. That will help us tremendously, and then you'll see each new show each week. And again, just taking the one tip, one trick, implementing it as soon as you can to live that happy and healthy life that everybody strives for.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me. And could I share my website? If
Yes,
anybody
please
has more
do.
information?
Yes.
If you guys would like to connect with me, please check out www.lifeandlightlessons.com.
Perfect. Thanks.